Mm-hmm. Okay, can I just do the intro real quick? Can I do the intro real quick? Fuck ice.
Yeah,
Eat shit and also die, actually.
In that order.
Also, Spotify, stop giving me ads about joining ICE.
Are you getting ads about it?
Yeah,
Game
people
Woven
are.
would like you to know that the opinions expressed by Lex Olden are shared by the Game Woven cast and crew.
Yes.
Yeah.
By listening to this podcast, those are your views now. Congratulations.
True. If you listen
Welcome
to
to the
this, you're
resistance.
gay, you hate ICE.
And if you stop listening
You're
because of it,
down.
good riddance. Check yourself.
Welcome to Game Woven, a collaborative world-building actual play where we build the world one game at a time, part of the One Shot Network. This is the beginning of our Cosmic Century Nights series as part of Campaign 2. Cosmic Century Nights involves a significant amount of upfront world building, adversary building, and character building. If you've already listened to the character building, now it's time for the world building and adversary building. We hope you enjoy. Welcome back, listeners. We're going to start the world building part of Cosmic Century Nights by James D'Amato and Andrew Mrzyewski. One of the reasons that I really wanted to do Cosmic Century Nights is because of the significant amount of table involvement that goes into fleshing out each group's world setup for Cosmic Century Nights and how much player involvement there is in building out the categories of enemy. So we're going to go through this. This is also going to serve as a recap. So anyone who's joining us who has not sat through, and I'm being serious here, sat through 2.5 years of world building games during campaign 1 can use this to catch up on where the relevant lore pieces are. Because a lot of this stuff coming up front, you would build this at your table on the fly. We've already established quite a bit of it. So this is going to be one part world building, one part recap. And finally, I am so happy to say that we now have all 7 core cast members of Game Woven here in a single group chat. And Discord might actually burn down. I don't know if it can handle all of the faces
I've
that I have
recorded
on
something
screen
with
right now.
8 people on it. It's fine. I've recorded something with 8 people. It was
Alistair,
fine.
I hope you're
And
keeping up, buddy.
Just using Craig. Just using Craig, too. So, we should be good. I believe in you, Alistair.
We're running Alistair, and we got backup, so we're gonna be okay. So, does everyone have the doc, the scratch doc that was shared with us? Thank you very much, James. We're gonna look at page 8. This is something in the game book, in the Cosmic Century Nights game book. This is gonna be right around page 8 and 9. As we can see, there is a 20 questions. What we're gonna do is we'll probably go through 12 of these. We'll have everyone do 2 of the questions. Cosmic Century Nights is a role-playing game that bends elements of traditional mechanics, forward design, and narrative-driven games. The rules are a companion and a toolkit to help your group make something truly unique. It starts as an unremarkable, generic fantasy world, where anything but unremarkable, that you might find in dozens of other games and books. Quickly, it will develop into something unique based on the choices of you and your fellow players. From the moment the Cosmic Century blade touched the soil of your world, it started to transform into something new and wonderful. Your voices now guide that journey of discovery. You don't need to make any assumptions about this world, except the ones that we've spent years building up. You might with another fantasy setting. You are invited to embrace and challenge my tropes as you see fit. My being the tropes of the writers, James and Andrew. To give your group a structure to build on, have each player roll a d20 and answer one of the following world building questions. I think what we'll do is we'll go through twice. And one for each person, or 2 for each person. This will be an open discussion, though, so we'll have that person kind of start the thought, and then we'll go. Faye, just do your best. Just really
good. great. Really throwing me in the deep end there, huh? No, awesome. No, it's good.
So far,
like it
so
even.
far, every time you've just sort of made something up randomly, it's worked. That's how lucky we've been.
It's almost like you write for like a job or something.
I don't know about
Also,
that.
if-
Surely,
Yeah, true.
if we keep doing it, it will never go wrong.
Yeah, absolutely.
So-
I just also want to
Correct.
toss out for
Yeah.
the record, Fulgurite has made its way into one of my home games.
Hell yeah. That goes crazy. We love Fulgurite anything. Honestly, I put it in stuff all of the time. Anywho, all right, D20. Let's
Who
go.
would like to? Oh, is Faye's going first?
I'm going. You said no. You were
go.
like Faye. I was like, I'm fucking locked in. I've got the dice right here.
Faye, your energy is immaculate. I'm feeling so locked
It's so
in
nice
as
to
well.
be in a
Let's
call
go.
with you all for the first time in like 3 years.
Yeah, it's been too long.
Yeah.
First time generally with Emily.
Well, I was
second time with
Emily and I
Emily.
did yeah, this is the first group call that we've been in, but all right, okay. I
And
rolled a
I'm going to be
13.
present very
minimally.
miserably, minimally, because I
What'd you get, Faye?
feel
I got
like
a 13.
13.
Would you like me to read
What
it?
is an unusual? I can. You can.
No,
Do we
you
want
go.
more of my narrator voice? Okay, I will. What is an unusual economic or political structure that exists in this world? Who supports it? Who opposes it? How does this conflict manifest in the world?
Okay,
We've
cool.
got some
I know
established ones, but
I know
if you want
nothing.
to throw one, yeah.
Let's see. Okay. Unusual economic or political structure. Why don't you, since this is a little bit of a recap episode, why don't you talk about some of the things that exist while I think about that?
I think, well, like part of what is interesting about, and part of the reason that people can throw stuff out and like we're able to rapidly fold it in is economics is not necessarily something we've talked a lot about. We know that Tarsig has a history of Tarsig, the steam, probably coming up on diesel punk magic city in the far
I think it's early
northwest.
steampunk. I don't think we're close to diesel
Early
yet.
steampunk? Not
Early
okay.
steampunk, definitely.
I mean, it was early steampunk 300 years ago when the bridge came by. So we can do whatever with that. But that is a capitalist enterprise. In terms of economics, we know that there is a central bank for the empire, and an administrative apparatus that controls the flow of material, food, people to an extent throughout the empire itself. Down in the south is pretty standard, like late feudal getting into Renaissance, where you had artisans and merchants that were worth taxing. That's part of why the Stormtooth is run by pirates, because a lot of the wealth had been forcibly extracted through various kinds of things. But like for a lot of the territory that we've covered, you can say just about anything, and we can start massaging it before we lock it into a location.
I do have one other thing to toss in that you might be able to play with, because we have a god who is the god of industry and commerce.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a huge presence on this island, but like the prayer worship of Wilo can be something as simple as like paying for a good or service.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. They would be a lot scarier if they didn't have Letheris, who is also the goddess of the ocean and undeath.
Okay, I have a thought. Just the one.
Mm-hmm.
Let her rip.
Let's go.
Lucky.
So so what if sort of like in that same like area of like godhood and whatever, what if there was something like some level of like a bartering system of sorts that was predicated on like a very religious base of like making an offering to like said god or whatever, and that god sort of like maybe like a representative, or in maybe they have like some structure in like their marketplaces and stuff like that that is meant to show, like it's like scales or something that is meant to show the will
Yeah.
of where that god's favor is, and it is bartering with each other, but also like with like the god of being like, all right, well, I would like for this deal to
Using
go
the god
my
to like
way, so I'm gonna
moderate trade.
yes, so I'm gonna like basically like give this over here, and if that basically has developed a system in which people essentially bribe the god of bartering to side with them in like large dealing.
I feel like that started in the baronies. I feel like that probably would have started to spread through the baronies, because also that god's partner is, as I said, water, undeath. She was also like essentially kind of like patron saint of thieves. She was a thief, so she's really big. They're both really big with pirates, so the baronies would have absolutely been where it came from and started to spread.
I feel like that's not standard practice where Wylo worship started, but when Wylo worship, because Wylo travels over the seas, when Wylo made it to the Stormtooth Baronies, which are the very southern tip of Shadal's corridor, this became a thing that they started to do there. And my question is, what happens to the money? What happens to the bribe god money? Where's that go?
Can I?
It's a great question.
Could I pose a couple of options? Because what this like the central like symbolic thing that I'm seeing here is it's like a set of magic scales, right? And since you're not necessarily exchanging coin, you put objects on the scales, and this foreign god of commerce will assess the value of them, and through the scales communicate if the deal is good or not. And if it doesn't fit on the scale, you can have a token that you put on there, and when it's done in good faith, this is something that actually works. And if you're a fucking liar, then you don't use the magic scales, and instead you've got a little like pedal underneath that you can use to weight one side or another. Which is also a very like Stormtooth kind of thing. So it's a kind of magic that exists. It's a kind of cheating that people do. People who are
I mean, where economic systems exist, people are there to like. There will always be people who find a way to exploit them. That's just true.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but you do have to be careful not to try and exploit it too much, because then you get issues with sea monsters.
Yeah, well, and I think also, I don't know why, but I feel like there should also be like a pit of fire underneath the scales, maybe, because of like, sort of like the classic burning offerings to a god, like they all go in there. And even if the god doesn't side with you, your offering, if you choose to like give one over or whatever, is gone. Like it's in the fire. It's moved on from there.
Drop it into a well. That way Latheris can give it to Wylo.
Yeah.
What my pitch on that is if you're not on the sea, it has to be over like something like dangerous, like a fire or like a forge or something. Because if you make it be deal too unbalanced, everything just falls into like the sea, and that like the cost is if someone tries to fuck the deal, everyone loses everything they put up, right? And so that's like because like
destruction.
Because I mean. I do like the idea that someone could like get such low karma with like Wylo that just sea monsters start showing up. But also I think because like there's got to be like a consequence or like for
and like that would also be like a sort of first step to that, right? Is that if you constantly can't actually go through with deals because the god is pissed at you, even if nothing's attacking you, people are like, cool, I'm never trading with this person because I lose my shit when I do.
I am imagining a scene where a captain is settling a dispute on a ship, doing exactly this, but it's like precariously balanced on a plank on the edge of a ship, and like if the sea, and everyone has to like protect, like there's a physical, like everyone has to also protect the thing from just going completely terrible.
I also just like the idea of people like finding sea caves and that becoming like a thing where like marketplaces are built that there's just like, cool, this is just a pit, this is just a hole with water in it, we don't know, the water is like pitch black, we have no idea where it goes, but that's
Wylo pop-up markets.
Yeah.
Well, and if you're in a pinch, if you need to make a deal, it's like, shit, if you're not by the sea, you're like, we got to go find like some weird abyss that we can do a deal over. Otherwise, this isn't going to work.
Yeah. Also,
there's probably been at least one point where someone did it with a bucket and they're like, holy crap, that actually worked.
Well, I like the idea too of there being like a version of this that like there is maybe like some kind of mirrored bowl that sort of like has like that infinity look to it that you could do for like smaller scale stuff or whatever that functions in the same way, that it's like, yeah, if you move that bowl and you pour the water out, there's still like nothing in it, even if everything fell into it or like whatever.
Maybe that's like a wedding ritual. Maybe like there are certain people down in Shadal that do that as like a wedding ritual. Like it's more ceremonial. It's not quite as official, but like that's like sort of a symbolic way of like balancing the vows or whatever.
It could be that people do that, but they don't actually believe that it would work if they actually tried to. So nobody really does that anymore and would be surprised if it did work.
Yeah. And I like this. No, go ahead, Bex. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I've missed a lot of this because a real life thing happened on the side while we're having this discussion. So I missed a lot of this. But I do like the idea of banking, just being throwing your money in the water and the water switches out later.
You feel like that's none of my business.
The banking is literally you are banking up goodwill with Wilo so that you can make bad deals further down the line, and the god will side with you because you've deposited, like you've made those deposits, and it buys you leeway to get more out of deals. It's an investment as much as it's banking.
Yeah, I love to create the fantasy stock market.
Basically,
I also.
To be fair, the real stock market.
Yeah.
To be fair, the real stock market is a fantasy.
All money is a fantasy. What are we doing here?
All money paid.
Also, real quick.
Sorry, Bree.
Go ahead, Bree. Sorry.
I feel like someone at some point figured out that you can always cheat vampires and the undead. Because Theris doesn't like undead that are not her undead. So Wilo will absolutely always be in your favor.
We established, hold on, this is perfect, because we established that some of the Grey Folk, our werewolves, infiltrated the Empire and started literally their own house inside of the Empire, and maybe that's part of why they did it. They realized this hack and just sort of worked their way into the system through wealth and dirty deals.
Hates them so much.
And they're
loves them.
I was imagining you to be like infinite money hack.
Find your local vampire and start negotiating with them.
To throw another layer on that, if this isn't like, this is, yes, it's big down in the Stormtooth baronies in particular, but this is just like, it's not thought of as a foreign tradition so much as like a maritime tradition. So you'll find it just about everywhere on the coast, from Primsol to the desert kingdoms, and like Magmalo is a house of sailors. We talked about that with House Dunes attempting to build a navy, and Magmalo was the only people that would actually work with them because House Dunes sucks. So, like, to say that that's like, it happens all over, it was one of the building blocks to build out the werewolf house, House Magmalo. I think that's really cool.
It started small, but it has definitely spread a lot.
I think it's super cool. I love that. Faye, thank you. See, every time it works. I would like to invite our next prompt. Who wants to do it?
Yeah.
All right, Rob's gonna do it.
Two, this many.
What'd you get? 2?
Dos.
Okay, I'm gonna need to establish something before you answer this one. So let me vamp a little bit. Because I'm kind of, I'll ask the question and then I'll explain myself. What was the overall aesthetic of the world before the Bladefall? What from those days persists? Who preserves those practices? So the way I am sort of handling the Bladefall is I am working in an element that we've established a few different ways called the Dawnbreaker, which just catching up, listeners, because this is going to be real important. The Dawnbreaker was established first in our run through of James D'Amato's "Oh Captain, My Captain." It wasn't named at that time, but it was some sort of an artifact that was held in a chapel in the desert that was associated with perfect violence. Was the way that we described it.
Yes.
Yeah. So the two truths that we sort of established about it are that it is an artifact of perfect violence, and it demands a cost in order to claim it. We never went further than that in "Oh Captain, My Captain." We fleshed it out more in Emily and I's run through of Echoes of the Lost City by Megan Cross, where we established the village of Dowlatheria, where the Cathedral of the Dawnbreaker was, and then through the lens of a ghostly archaeologist discovered more things about it, and that's extremely powerful and dangerous. Then we finally brought it all home when the traveling Overton Bridge, this was in our run of the Quiet Year, when the traveling Overton Bridge arrived at Dowlatheria, explored Dowlatheria, discovered the Dawnbreaker, and then someone tried to sacrifice himself so that Overton could claim it to destroy the Empire. That didn't happen. As the man plummeted off the bridge, trying to sacrifice himself, the bridge disappeared. So the bridge was never able to claim the actual Dawnbreaker. I am calling that moment when the man sacrificed himself the Bladefall. And that is when the Century Blades came to the world. I'm trying to keep some of the details closer to my chest because I want some cards to hide so that I can reveal them over the course of the story. But
it also gives you wiggle room if you need to adjust those cards.
If I need to call an audible, I can. So that's going to be the impetus for the Century Blades. The Century Blades were not forged as Century Blades. They became Century Blades after this event. What that means, we'll kind of work it out, but that's sort of where my head is at on this. So I guess, Rob, what do you think of the question? I'll give you the prompt again now that I've given you that preamble. Thank you so much. What was the overall aesthetic of the world before Bladefall? What from those days persists? Who preserves those practices?
Yeah. So a couple things I want to add. So first of all, Overton is like the main capital of our like good guy faction, of our resistance against the Empire. It is literally a city on a bridge, like a massive, massive bridge. It is just across the bridge. It has like stuff like hanging off the sides of the bridge.
2 floors. Does it still have all the giant scorpion wasps died?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got like 2 levels, big tree.
Yeah, but we still built like an undercity below the bridge, and then the buildings on the bridge go up like 3 floors.
We have a magic tree. There's a magic fountain. There's a magic mirror thing. Very magical. Also, definitely very haunted.
Yes.
So many
everything here is haunted.
Weird kind of ghosts.
So that like Overton is like basically if this was the video game, that is our hub capital city for our good guy faction. So
there's also little mushroom fairies.
Oh right,
yes.
True.
What the fuck did I name that little guy?
Glippus Bippus.
Glippus Bippus.
Glippus Bippus.
We love that guy so much.
He's so
I had a turn. I'm like, I just need a turn to be nothing. I need nothing of importance to happen this turn. So I came up with Glippus Bippus.
You made a plushie?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
The other thing I feel like I want to call out about the Dawnbreaker is the Game Woven World is a moon of another planet. We don't know really anything about that other planet, but in the mythology of this world, most, if not all, of the gods came from another place, came from this quote city of gods, as like a mass exodus from that city of gods. And so there are things that are from the Game Woven world that are not attached to those gods, and so like the Dawnbreaker is one of those things. Like it is like truly eldritch, like not connected to what most people on the Game Oven planet would consider like the natural order as it now exists. So I think that I think my answer to this question is that it's the energy of the Dawnbreaker and the Bladefall is it to the people of this world is bringing this new like power and energy across the face of it, but really it's just bringing out the like primordial things that were here before the gods, because we also don't really know if how much there was like people in civilization before the gods came here. Like to our knowledge, both us and the people of this world, we don't really know. And so what this really is like the whatever the Game Over equivalent of like the Cambrian explosion, like the energies and powers that were there during that time of this world are like coming back to the surface as part of the Bladefall.
Yeah. Break it down for me. What's that like? What's kind of the difference of the before time and then the now time? What changes have we seen? What changes haven't we seen? And is there anyone maintaining the old ways?
Yeah. So the only things that we have like established as definitely like pre-god Game Over World stuff is the Dawnbreaker and then the 4 Leviathan skeletons across the continent.
Ooh, what'd you say, Brie?
Silhouette.
And silhouette.
And the
right.
silhouette, yes. And some even more like inscrutable and distant kind of entities that we haven't really pinned down.
Well, lots of ghost women.
Yeah.
Yes.
So many ghost women. Faye, what is that face?
What do you mean?
Faye, what the fuck was that?
What do you mean? What are you talking about? I didn't do anything. Listen, I just heard ghost women. I was like, hello. How are they doing? Anything?
Eventually, we're going to make the Game Woven visual novel that's just one of Faye's character dating or flirting with various ghost women.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, that goes crazy.
Yes. Yes.
So, like, are you like a
like a little ghost harem as a treat?
Anyway, back to Prompt Land.
Yeah. So I think, to me, I'd love to open it up to people who may be a little more artistically or visually inclined about like the look of this. But as far as the vibe, because like Game Woven present day has a lot of vibes of like gifts that are curses and curses that are gifts, and like costs for power, and like the more you like draw upon something, the more it changes you. And I think that this like more primordial essence is more just like excess. Like it is like overtaking, like overabundance, like, you know, in this way that like when you think about like dinosaurs and like the Cambrian explosion, it's like really large creatures and like
if
big energy.
I have a pitch.
Go ahead.
I have a pitch. Any objects and things of like the older magic or the older times, even things that like have been long forgotten, are starting to become more active and more effective than the newer magics, depending. Or just like has more, giving off more ambient magic. So you see people starting to lean a lot more into the older ways, even if they don't understand exactly what it is they're working with, and trying to find ways to fuse the newer magic that they understand, the newer technology that they understand, with that old magic.
If I could to roll almost like carry on from where Bree was going with that. I think as we have been playing these games to set these things up, a lot of the individual games that we've been playing with have given certain places defined aesthetics. Like Schaumir is French inspired. Ernat is kind of a monster hunter, but also Mediterranean. And then like You get up to the Twins' Cradles, and it's this almost Nordic, like Nordic or German fairy tale kind of setting. And like they all have, to say that like the Game Woven world has an aesthetic, I think does not work as well as to say that we have defined aesthetics around. But I was thinking about the last episode of The Ground Itself, where we built Zalo for the first time, and like 2 turns from the end, we're talking about what that place looks like, and Zalo is fucking crazy. Because you've got animals that have appropriated bronze weaponry, Verdreen intermingled with gray folk, so you've got like a fucking plant werewolf running around with his pet knife squirrel. And like it gets really weird. And then to bring it back around to Overton as this like this thing that is emblematic of someone that has been to a bunch of different places. I feel like the prevailing aesthetic as we move from the old world into the new world is to go from saying that like places look certain ways into something that is far more eclectic and far more strange. Something that's a bit more chaotic and a bit more powerful. And I think like we can thematically pull in after Maeve locks the ley line in place down in Shadal's corridor. When we get to the end of that arc, it's not like Fantasy France, Port Royal from Pirates of the Caribbean, and Monster Hunter Town, like Monster Hunter Sicily. It's like there's a million different witch covens running around. Everybody is juiced up and ready to fight. You're getting imperial aesthetics mixed in with stuff in her net, but then that's getting like reappropriated and it's going crazy. So I think like, does it fit with what you're saying, Rob, to say that like the new aesthetic is eclectic and cross-culturally conversational as opposed to internally consistent?
Yeah, I like that. I also really like the idea of that. I want to latch onto something Bree said of like things from like ancient history are like reawakening and have a like not necessarily completely opposed, but like an adversarial relationship to like present day like magic and artifacts. Like the things that are reawakening aren't necessarily compatible with how like everything is set up now. And so it's going to be there will be like an inflection point where in some places some people will choose to just try and figure out where this like ancient more primordial energy works and kind of favor that over what people have been like using for like supernatural power or forces that they understand better.
What it reminds me of is the relationship that the thing that it reminds me of more than anything else is the relationship like everything has with the fucking Tarsig. So in the city of Tarsig, built around the caldera of a volcano that powers a bunch of like early steampunk factories and whatnot, there is a ghost that appears to be a floating barracuda, and it's actually some like the ghost of a massive skeletal serpent that surrounds the entire volcano. And that thing is very, very mad all the time. Just fucking hates it there. And it sounds a little bit like it's that, except it's all of the magic and it's everywhere.
Yeah, the old operating system got turned back on. It's like, what the hell did you do?
Windows 98 is coming for Windows Me.
There are people out there who are looking for and finding ways to hack the old and new magic together. Especially with people who have like old long-lived magical tradition where like information has been passed down through the generations. You've got these people who are like, there's this weird thing that is glowing green in my backyard and I don't know what it is, but I remember hearing something from my grandmother about this ghost, or she heard about like this thing that you can do, like being able to like lean on those old stories of histories that no one believed were true. And it turns out there's a reason those stories stuck around, is because a lot of that stuff was real, but not in a way you expected. That's the thing I like to play with.
I think there is. I think that there is a canon example of that we can actually go back and retcon without changing a word. and that is we go back to Maven Knockwith moving the ley line over Shadal. I think ley line, maybe that ley line is an example of some of the old magic, and they decided to tinker with it and relocated an entire ley line to go over Xiaomere. And now with all of this new information, the implications of that are way bigger than I think we realized at the time.
I always knew. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
So the people who have respected history, the people who have sought to learn from the past and have not had their past erased, are more easily able to tap into this old magic, whereas all the old magic that's going to be waking up in the Undying Empire, they don't know what to do, and they destroyed all the records of what might work. So they just have this weird glowy thing in their backyard.
Which brings me to who preserves these practices. And so we've got the people who are preserving the old magic, but what about the pre-Bladefall reality that is now being upset? I think the Empire is not a fan of any of this. And Rob, take it.
Well, so the Empire is not trying to preserve either. It's trying to preserve only itself. So the other reason I wanted this is tickling my brain is I struggle to think of another setting where the gods have like competition, right? Where it's like the gods have to be like, wait, but like don't worry about that stuff. We're cooler than that. Like I like the idea that like I mean the gods and then just like the other magic systems of the setting obviously have their like hooks in how society functions right now. But I feel like as this, I mean, very similar to like the witch's story within Xiaomere with like using this newfound power to like that is inherently like unregulated or not as governed to like be subversive against established power structures. I think that there's this going to be this interesting push-pull of like, you know, people who follow or invested in like the gods or like how magic is traditionally seen and used are going to want to be more skeptical or maybe even just more distrustful of this new power, because like as a god this would be truly the worst thing. like oh, you're saying you can just like kind of skip the whole giving me devotion and doing what I want for power and favor and just go to this like not, something's not even attached to an entity. I can't even like beef with this entity. This is just like innate power. That sucks.
Well, what's really interesting about that, as speaking as someone who knows basically nothing about this setting, is that from what you guys have said, this idea that like, you know, this planet, that Game Oven takes place on, the gods are like from somewhere else or whatever. But because they're from somewhere else, that to me implies that whatever was here was present well before their influence was, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So it's like magic that potentially dates back, like predates the gods, which would obviously be something that they would be like, what's that about? We don't like that.
Well, and what this makes me think of is the Bowerborn. The Bowerborn gods, which we first established in the Green Hour during the Gods Potluck, where we got our first naturally born god on the continent of Norequis, who was Andis, makes me think that these gods returning, these very young, very specific, almost demigod, like earthly demigod figures, then might be an example of this reemergence of old magic. This is literally this place creating its own divinity. And also, I think the Empire would prefer to deal with not the primordial. Go ahead, sorry.
Because we never established when that happened. What if the Bladefall is part of why those two trying to do something different worked and it kept working?
Within the text of the game, and I think in order for it to line up, there's 100 years between when the Green Hour game takes place. There's at least 100 years and the present. So, and we can play with that. We can say that it's been closer to 60 or 80. But like, I think it's important for me at least, that there be some time that the Bowerborn have been cooking, that they're a sort of a known quantity, but they're not like, they've only outlived like 1 or 2 generations before. And that would mean that we would have to move around some timeline stuff with the bridge and when that happened. But
I actually have a solution for this. I actually have a bit
Our
of a
timeline is
solution for
very
this.
wiggly.
Yeah, the timeline's pretty wiggly, but it's also like the flashpoint event of the sacrifice to the Dawnbreaker. That's the flashpoint event. The way I have it set up in my head, which I'm keeping close to my chest, it's been a build up towards that. So it is.
I was gonna say, like, this kind of thing wasn't impossible or unheard of. It's just now kind of everywhere.
Yeah, and it would be safe to say that 100 or 200 years ago, these things were already starting to happen in small ways, and now they're going to start happening in really, really big ways.
If you think of it as like a dam slowly cracking, like when that first jet or that first like trickle of water coming out is kind of your Bowerborn, the cracks start forming when Maeve and Nockwith start moving the ley line, and that's like 16 years before Hearts of Magic happens. And then like the actual Bladefall itself is somebody literally coming up and I guess punching the hole in the dam to break it all.
Thank you for listening to the Game Woven podcast. Today's episode featured the entire cast, including me, T.T. Benjamin, Lex Olden at Call Me They, Emily, Faye, Rob, Zad, and Bree. For more of Game Woven, you can find us on Blue Sky at Game Woven, and if you would like to support us on Patreon, you can find us at patreon.com/GameWoven. Thank you.